I want to start off by saying that, for the most part, being healthy is a choice. When sickness and disease comes rearing its ugly head, it is most times not by random order that it was your turn to get sick or become obese. As if you were an innocent victim and suddenly out of nowhere you fell ill or gained excess weight, or that your illness is due to your family genes or it being hereditary. All too often we look to blame others when in many and most cases we ourselves had a major part in the cause of our sickness, disease, and weight gain. Today we're going to be honest with ourselves and take a good look at food, the third most important need of our body. I want to start out by sharing a bit of my own story and how I played the victim and the blame game towards ill health. I suffered as most with colds, flus, and the all too common stomach and headache regimen. It was not uncommon for me to take a few aspirin to silence a headache, as I saw most around me do. I blamed my constant heart palpitations on my parents. My mother had a background of heart disease, and my little sister was born with a heart defect. I naturally assumed that we were caught in this situation simply because of random selection. It never occurred to me that I could possibly have anything to do with the fact that my heartbeat was erratic and that the migraines that I suffered from may possibly be by my own doing. I would soon discover that I had a major influence over my own health. I'm going to share with you how food and health walk very closely indeed. The first thing that we're going to ask ourselves is a question: what is food? Simply put, food is something that nourishes, sustains, or supplies. Food will nourish you, food will sustain you, and food will supply you. You might say, supply you what? That's what we're going to address when we take a look at what we consider to be food or not food. As you already know, we're applying the model of nutrients minus toxins equals health, or the simplified version, good stuff in, bad stuff out. As you and I know, most people associate health to good eating habits and exercise. As you're learning, there are other as valuable, if not more important areas of our life that truly equate health. But when it comes to food, I want us to adopt another very simple principle that will help us in making decisions towards what we will choose to put into our bodies. It is live food or dead food. This will help you when you think about food and are deciding what to buy or prepare for when you're going to eat. You will want to ask yourself this simple question: are you live food or dead food? Do you supply me life or death? You may ask, Zena, what do you mean? Let me give you a little illustration. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was a little girl, I used to make apple face dolls. I would begin cutting into this nice, fresh, plump apple to design the makings of my apple face doll. I remember my mom helping me to make the little outfits that would go on my stick figure to create the whole woman, outfit and all. I'd make a little apron to prepare for this spinster of a gal. I was always amazed, and I would watch my beautiful, opaque, fleshed apple dolly within a matter of days turn into a tarnished, wrinkled old woman. Little did I know back then that I was actually seeing firsthand something that was once very much alive was before my very eyes dying. You see, that fresh, vibrant apple was alive, and once taken from the tree, placed in my home and cut by my paring knife, thus began the process of dying. An apple is a living food, and if we eat this living food, it will provide us life. The apple, like any other fruit, is a live food. So let's go a little deeper. Having this knowledge about living foods will very well be a huge factor in helping you to discover your health and beauty from the inside out. Now, let's define living foods. Living foods are also known as raw foods. They are fresh, uncooked foods that haven't been heated above 106 degrees Fahrenheit. They've not been denatured by cooking them. We will discuss this in a moment. First, I want you to be able to picture what living raw food really is. Simply put, it is primarily based as plant food: fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, etc. To make it even easier to visualize living foods would be to say, if it comes from the ground, it's raw plant food. These raw living foods provide our bodies with every vitamin, mineral, fat, protein, carbohydrate that our bodies need for life and existence. They even provide us with H2O. That's right, 100% pure water. Remember, the second most important need of the human body. Living raw food is clearly a very important part of our nutrient intake. Everyone would benefit from eating more of it. Combining a variety of vegetables and fruit not only will give you ample nutrients, but it also keeps your eating fun and far from boring. Raw foods have not been heated beyond approximately 108 degrees, by which heat denatures valuable enzymes, vitamins, and minerals, in essence, killing the food, and thus we would consider it to be dead food. Our body does not identify food that has been cooked as food. Again, if we apply the principle of nutrients minus toxins equals health, we would say this: the body sees living food as a nutrient. It sees dead food simply as a toxin, non-usable material for the body. Of course, the body will assimilate what living nutrients are still intact, but remember, as foods are cooked, the metabolic structure of the nutrients become deformed and are now recognized as toxins. Temperature determines life and death. Look at our temperature. When 104 degrees, scary. 106, untreated, death. At 107 degrees, our cells begin to die. At 108, the person is usually dead. We can see how food is denatured when we heat it at extreme temperatures. Look at an egg from a runny yolk to a solid white mass, or sugar from glistening white granules to caramelized brown sugar. We're cooking most of our food at temperatures of 212 degrees, which is the temperature for boiling water and steam. 225 is a low temperature oven, which is destroying essential nutrients. Or to put it plainly, we are killing the living cell. Then we eat processed foods that have been taken from their original form and turn it into something that we have been taught to call food. I must say that it is not fully food, but an image of what we think food is. Take a look at a piece of toast. Not only do we cook the food once, but we're actually cooking the food twice. I've never seen anything in creation that can kill more than once, but we've managed to convince ourselves that it is okay for us to feed our bodies with twice dead food. Remember, we ourselves are made up of living cells, and we need to feed our bodies with living cells as well. As you begin to take a look at the things that you place into your mouth, sometimes I like to refer to it as my nutrient intake portal, you will want to ask yourself this question: are you alive or are you dead? When we feed our body life, we live. When we feed our body death, we die. Now, you may not die immediately, but you do begin to kill yourself slowly. You see, when we want something to eat, we are usually motivated by a few factors. There are 3 factors that we pull from when resolving to eat. Number 1 is taste pleasure. Number 2 is convenience. And number 3 is expense. Let's go ahead and address these briefly. Number 1, just because something tastes good does not necessarily mean that it is good, alive, nor is it nutritious. When I eat a slice of cake, let me tell you, it tastes good. The taste of the cake brings me pleasure. However, this pleasure is only temporary. So when we look at the taste-pleasure motivator, we have to ask the question: cake, are you alive or dead? Cake, are you a nutrient or a toxin? The cake, although bringing me great pleasure at the time that I'm eating, is truly of no value to my health or my conscience later on. The cake has been made of bleached flour, refined sugar, milk, eggs, and salt, and those are just the primary ingredients. Then I take that processed liquid and place it into an oven for an hour to completely destroy it. After a while, I will spread some extremely sweet frosting over it and enjoy. Now, wait a moment. I might justify that by adding some fresh strawberries on top. Not. Now, am I telling you never to eat cake again? No. This is a decision that you have to make. What I'm encouraging you to do is to take a look at each thing that you're going to put into your body and be careful not to allow the motivator of taste pleasure to be your guide. You have a new guide now. That guide is nutrients minus toxins equals health. Our goal is to increase the amount of nutrients you're placing in, on, or around your body and decrease the toxins. I like to journal my nutrient intake throughout the week. This is another suggestion that I will make to you. Beginning today, start what I call nutrient intake. Get a journal and for 5 days journal everything that you place in your body. And I do mean everything. Food, water, breath mint, gum. If you smoke, cigarettes, alcohol, coffee, all of it. After the 5 days, go back and take a look at what was alive and what was dead. From there, you will see there's a ratio of what living things you've ingested and what dead things you've ingested. I have many people that I've worked with in the past that were of the understanding that they had a pretty healthy diet. After doing the nutrient intake, they realized that 80% of what they placed in their bodies was dead, non-usable matter. Now that can be quite shocking and can take some time to come into balance with. Using the nutrient intake guide will really help you to get to where you flip those numbers around. I personally like to follow an 80-20 rule, 80% living whole foods and 20% dead foods. Now I know the dead food is of little or no value to me and at times is even toxic. I must be honest and confess that there is not a health program out there that will work for you if you do not at times yield to the taste pleasure. We've all been created to experience taste and pleasure. It's just getting ourselves to a place that we are getting taste pleasure experience from foods that are alive. I don't know how many times through the years that my body has cried out for the taste pleasure of a fresh garden salad or chilled sliced watermelon. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's not that we have to deny ourselves the joy of eating, not at all. You're about to begin walking on the road where you find that living foods are where taste pleasure not only is attainable, but life-giving as well. Okay, number 2, convenience. There's no other way to address this except to be straightforward and upfront. One of the main reasons that I Am Woman came to pass was because of this very issue, convenience. Our societies today have convinced us that the more we do in our life, the better our life is. If we can pack into one day all of the things that give us pleasure, then we are really living. So what our societies have done is they've created convenience outlets. Fast food restaurants for a meal, quick drive-through kiosks for a coffee, shopping outlets for any little item that you need, even remote controls to zip through the commercials so that you can watch as much television as you can possibly fit in. Fast, 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 convenient, convenient, convenient. You name it, there's probably a shortcut to it. However, our life and our health is not a shortcut. We don't need to shove a bunch of activities into one day that will, at the end of the day, leave us exhausted, unfulfilled, and ultimately in ill health. Taking care of you takes time. It's going to take some time to prepare your fresh fruits and vegetables. It's going to take time to prepare your healthful meals and exercise. It's going to take time to go out into the fresh air and take those deep, healthy breaths, remembering the number one need of the human body. Begin to ask yourself this question: is everything that I do all day a nutrient to the overall me, or is it a toxin? The principle of nutrients minus toxins equals health will now be forever one of your most faithful friends. Even today, after years of walking in overall health, I still apply this principle to my life daily. Some days I'm more challenged than others, and some days I'm right on track with myself. Over the course of your life, you will find that as you apply the principle, you will see your overall health increase, and you will truly say, I am woman. So as you plan to go to the grocery store, remember it's about quality, not convenience. It's about renewing your mind to believe and agree that it is more important for you to go for fresh whole foods instead of something quick. It's not about convenience, it's about health and the quality of your life. My dear friend, you are valued and you are valuable. You're not an inconvenience by any means, so take the convenience of your time and begin to apply it to you. You will begin to emerge as you discover your health and beauty from the inside out. Lastly, number 3, expense. Now I hear this quite often from people who want to make changes to their diet and lifestyle. They're quick to say healthy foods cost too much, and that's usually coupled with the comment about it taking too much time to prepare, but we've already crossed that bridge. They say that every time they go to buy fresh produce and natural health items, they are so expensive. Now there are some truths to this. I remember going into the health food stores and thinking, these people don't care about my health, they only care about money. There may be some truths to this, but it's not a given fact, and I had to adjust my thinking when I entered into places that offered me better eating options. I made the decision that I was going to do what it takes to care for my body, and I would shop at places that provided me the best resources to take care of the most valuable asset that I had, me. If I was willing to spend money to adorn what I put on my body, then the least that I could do was not get stingy with what I chose to put in my body. I had to completely change the way that I felt about me, the real me. You too are going to have to begin to take a look at you. You can do it. This is your time. This is your hour. But let's address the issue of expense. I'd like to look at the overall picture, not just the checkout lane. Let's take a look at our grocery store experience. Typically, when you go grocery shopping, what type of food items are you placing in your grocery cart? Let's take a quick trip through the grocery store. You grab a cart and proceed to reach for a box of this, a carton of that, a can here, a bag there, some packaged meat, a dozen eggs, and some cheese. Oh, don't forget, a bottle of that. Then you quickly go to the produce department and rip off a few plastic bags for a couple of apples, bananas, and some lettuce, tomatoes, and cucumber. There, you're done. Now let's break it down and look at the whole picture. How much did all of those food items that were either in a box, carton, can, bag, bottle, or container cost? Now take a look at those in the little plastic bags. How much do they total? When you took a look at how much money you are saving, there's really no comparison. Not only are you going to save money in the long run, but you will save time as well. In time, you will avoid most of the aisles in the grocery store because you simply have no need for them. This is also a great time for you to pull out your journal and do a nutrient intake evaluation. You will be able to discover what things you're going to buy that are considered dead or those that are alive. 2, if we continue to place into our bodies those dead, non-usable foods, then we will also lose our finances from doctor bills, time away from work, and prescribed medications. So when we look at the overall picture, we can see that in time, we are not losing money, but we will be saving money. And all the while, we are feeling great. Our body is crying out for nutrients. Remember, we are made of living cells. These living cells need living cells in order to live. When we give our living cells dead cell material, it will continue to reach for nutrients. Then we find ourselves in a spiral effect, having to eat all of the time because in all actuality, we have found ourselves to be malnourished. Do you find it a bit ironic that the bellies of many modern societies have a similar appearance to those little children that we see on our television screens in impoverished countries? The infomercials asking us to give so that they can eat and be nourished. All the while, we are eating handfuls of empty, dead calories. It's about nutrient intake, plain and simple. Our bodies need nourishment, and the sources that we get the richest nutrients from are simply found in living whole foods. Because of the increase of the fast food lifestyle, cooked and processed food culture, and undernourished and overfed people groups, I want to now share with you something that you will begin to hear more and more about in the Western world. Applying our health principle of nutrients minus toxins equals health, we see the need to increase nutrients into our diet. But how? Juicing. Juicing is the process of separating the juice from the fruits, leafy greens, and other types of vegetables from its pulp. The majority of nutrient is found in the juice and can easily go directly into the bloodstream. By removing the juice from the fiber, the juice bypasses the digestive system and can assimilate quickly. Juicing also allows you to consume more living raw foods without actually having to sit down at a meal and chew. I like to say that juicing is my chewing process. I often say that I'm drinking my food instead of eating my food. How often are we being told to get our daily allowance of fruits and vegetables? Well, by juicing, this will eliminate that from ever happening again. Not only is it a great way to get nutrients at the cellular level to really get to you, it also provides vitamins and minerals which help tremendously boost your immune system as well as flushing out unwanted toxins. There are endless benefits to juicing. Of course, it's important that we juice properly and not overdo it. And as long as we use juicing as a part of our healthy equation, then this is a wise thing to incorporate into your lifestyle. In a moment, I will show you actually how to juice. But let's take a moment to discuss the question that always arises when we discuss juicing. The question is, what kind of juicer should I buy? There are a few types on the market, but the two most common juicers that people know of and purchase are a spin basket juicer or the masticating juicer. Please note that these are not to be confused with a blender. Juicers separate the juice from the pulp, while a blender grinds down the fruits or vegetables and the fiber or pulp remains. I encourage you, in the most part, to juice your veggies and blend your fruits. Now let's get back to the juicers. If you're going to purchase and use a spin basket juicer, then you need to know this. A spin basket juicer can be purchased for a fairly low price. There are many models that are easy to use and clean. When using a spin basket juicer, I encourage people to, in as much as possible, juice and consume. The reason is that when you run your vegetables and fruit through a spin basket juicer, the basket spins at a rapid pace, extracting the juice from the fiber. During this process, there are two things that can and may be happening. The basket is spinning at such a rapid pace that it creates heat. This heat, when exposing itself to the living open cell, begins to destroy the cell itself, thus taking away some of the vital nutrients. Also, when the juice is being extracted, the living cells are being exposed to air, and when living cells are oxygenated, they begin to die. Now again, a spin basket juicer falls into the lines of my little catchphrase that I often use: something is better than nothing. At least this is a great way to begin introducing you to the juicing principles and lifestyle. You'll be glad you made this first investment, and yes, you're getting nutrients directly into your body by using this type of juicer. Another juicer that is available is a masticating juicer. These are the kind of juicers where the mechanism presses against the vegetable or fruit and actually presses it out, very similar to the way that we chew or masticate our food. During this process, the mechanism is moving slowly, pressing out the juice, and very little heat is involved and very little exposure to the air. Thus, the live nutrients are more intact. Masticating juicers are also known for producing much more juice instead of pulp. 2, with a masticating juicer, you can store your juices for longer periods of time. There's more to learn about juicers, but this will help you get introduced and help you to make a decision about the type of juicer you may want to purchase. Okay, now let's juice.